I have nothing to disclose. Okay, so I'm going to talk about an ethnographic study that we carried out to look at conversations between women and their midwives about pelvic floor muscle exercises during pregnancy. Now, this is part of a larger research, ongoing research 5-year program, which is looking at this over in a number of different ways. And this is really carrying on from some work presented at the 2017 conference, ICS conference, which found that there wasn't much work in this area. And what there was didn't directly observe women and midwives in the clinic setting when these discussions might be being held. Okay, so we know that PFME can be valuable to manage and treat the symptoms of UI, and guidelines do recommend that women are told about these early on in pregnancy. But we also know that women often don't do these exercises, and if they do them, they may not be doing them correctly. So we wanted to have a look at what was going on at the individual level, at the level of the patient, at the health professional level, and at the higher policy level that might be affecting these conversations. So as an ethnographic study, we carried out our data collection in a number of ways, and we embedded public and patient involvement throughout the research. And we found that there were 3 interrelated themes emerging from our data. The first relating to an ideological commitment, where although midwives and women felt that doing pelvic floor exercises were important, they actually took a low priority and were not prioritised within that antenatal care pathway. We also know that women lacked confidence to do these exercises. They weren't sure if they're doing them correctly, and midwives were not confident that they knew how to teach them correctly. Assumptions and stigma and normalization further caused challenges and concerns. For example, the assumption that UI is normal during and after pregnancy inhibited these conversations further. So we've used this study and some previous work to develop a training package that we're shortly going to be piloting to help midwives to teach women about these exercises in pregnancy. And we know that at the moment there's opportunities that might be missed during this antenatal pathway. But we also know that unless there's higher level policy put in place, it's going to be difficult to implement these in the antenatal care pathway.
Thank you very much. It's a very important topic.
Thank you.
Questions? Well, yeah, okay, please.
Thank you very much, Rohini. That was really, really interesting. I'm wondering if any of your in any of your interviews did anybody report any influence of the media with regard to how they view their pelvic floor and the status at this period of time?
Yes. So I mean, there's within the media, there's this. I think this has helped to contribute to this assumption of this normality. People joke about going on a trampoline and this sort of thing. And also we have the sort of advertising of the containment products and what have you. So this contributes, I think, to the normality, and there's not much you can do about it and that sort of thing. So yes, people did talk about that, midwives in particular, and women often referred to tenor lady and that sort of thing.
So can I ask a second question? Do you think things are going to change over time then? You know, because this has been a fairly recent development, certainly in the UK, to have advertising targeting women in the immediate postpartum period, which is what we have at the moment. Do you think things might change over time in terms of what you're able to do then?
I think so. I mean, I think that's what we're hoping that will be the case. And I think that one of the problems with stigma, when things aren't talked about widely, then these assumptions continue. So what we're hoping to do is by raising the topic with women and by helping midwives to teach women about this in the antenatal period and perhaps before, you know, that women will start to sort of to realise that it's an okay thing to talk about, that, you know, lots of people experience it, and this is where we hope this stigma and normalisation will be challenged.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rohini. Robin, physio and midwife from Australia. I think a training package is a really good idea, but did you look at any strategies to overcome the competing demands that midwives have during the antenatal period?
Yes, I mean, this is one of the things that people told us repeatedly, that other things took priority, and you can understand that with it. There's so many things that need to be talked about within these quite packed antenatal appointments. So I think policy is one of the things. There's a newly published in the UK, anyway, certainly in England, guidelines, a forward plan, a 10-year forward plan, which suggests that this will become more of an emphasis in antenatal care and also postnatally. So we're hoping that higher level policy will help at the individual level and also the professional level if these higher level things are put in place.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rohini. In your abstract, you mentioned there were no signs of posters, which would maybe signpost the conversation.
Yes.
Do you think putting up posters would change the outcome, or it would just be more signposting?
It is signposting, but again, it's raising that awareness. It's at the moment these things remain quite secret and hidden, and I think that, you know, there's an awful lot of other things like breastfeeding and what have you that do end up, you know, being advertised, and there's domestic violence is another one. So it makes it less of a priority if it doesn't have a poster presence. So at least if it's up there with other things, then it's becoming more of a on an equal footing with these other things.
Thanks, Rohini.